Welcome to this week's Guitar Learning Questions live lesson for the Facebook group Guitar Learning Questions. Now, the question this week that's come up is how to play more melodically. Now, that's a pretty big kind of subject, and I'm going to take a particular chunk for players of all levels to take and begin to move towards playing melodically and to begin listening and taking music as an actual melodic figure rather than just a pattern kind of on the fretboard, because this is ideal for guitar players who've been playing for a little while and they're used to some scales or used to improvising, maybe playing some solos, but just using pentatonic shapes, so more pattern-based shapes, maybe the major pentatonic or the blues stuff with a minor pentatonic. It's for those players to take that and to go beyond it, to start actually playing the kinds of sounds and shapes and intervals that you actually want to hear, to encapsulate specific moods that you might want to convey. And it's not just for lead guitar, it's not just for improvising or solos either, it's for any kind of melodic figure. You might be writing or composing a melody line or a lead part, and you want it to be melodic and to portray a certain emotion. Also useful if you're writing or composing the melody of a song that you're coming up with, and you want the melody to fit with the lyrics and kind of reinforce them, and that will come from the intervals that you use in the melody. So the key to this is to begin thinking in actual intervals being the distance between two notes. So rather than playing a scale where you're just going up and down the scale or you're leaping around, you're actually choosing the distances between two notes based on the way that they sound, the way that distance or that interval actually sounds in music. And what we're going to do to begin this process of actually thinking melodically and thinking in melodies and phrases is to associate the intervals of the major scale and the minor scale with particular songs that use them and encapsulate them. Now, this is the first stepping stone to begin thinking and about your music and about your playing in a really melodic way. So what we're going to do is kind of use sort of a memory hook. We're going to associate each interval, because they're sort of abstract things on their own, we're going to associate each interval with a specific popular, famous song that uses that interval, just to get your ears around how the interval sounds used in context and the kind of mood that's conveyed by it, so that when you want to come up with that mood or produce that feeling, you can do it by grabbing and using that interval in your, like I said, in your soloing, in your improvising, or even in your composing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a series of intervals from the major and the minor scales, just the regular major scale, but also the natural minor scale, which is the most common minor scale. I'm going to go through all those intervals and mention a couple of songs and show you an example of songs that you can use to memorize the sound of those intervals. Now, the songs I've chosen are quite sort of classic songs. They're popular songs. They might not be stuff you've heard, and they might not be sort of your favourite type of music, but I chose them because they're well-known songs, also because they've sort of stood the test of time a little bit, but also I've chosen them, more importantly, because that song and the melody actually sort of, I feel, encapsulates the sound of the interval. So it'll repeat it a few times, it'll drum it in, it'll go over and over. So the intervals, the key interval of that song is the one we're learning for that song. But also, on top of that, they're actually the first interval in the song. So they're kind of opening gambit in the melodic figure. So your opening note, where you begin and where you jump from there, is one of the most expressive intervals you can have. And you'll see in these songs how it backs up and reinforces the lyrics and things used as well. Okay, I'm going to jump into this stuff. Like I said, it's the beginning, and it's the beginning of training your ears as well, which will lead back into your playing as you go. After I've gone through some examples of songs you can use for each interval, I'll go through how you would approach actually learning and memorizing these. So think of this as a kind of memory game. The aim of this is to associate in your head a particular song, with a particular interval, with the distance between two notes. And some people find this quite an easy process, other people find it a bit more of a challenge, and it takes time and a little bit of repetition. I'd recommend for all of these, choose the song that works best for you for each interval, and get really used to that song. Listen to it a good few times if you haven't heard it, so that you really absorb the sound of that interval, the feel of it and the mood of it. So then when you go to learn it physically on guitar, you can come out with that stuff when you want it and when you need it. Anyway, I'm going to move on. So I'm going to begin with the first interval it being a minor second, also known as a semitone. So I'm going to start every interval from the E, so you can hear an example from one constant pitch in one key of these, and then we'll look at a bit more complicated version of it afterwards. So the first interval is the minor second, or a semitone. Okay, just moving up one fret on guitar, and the theme, or the song that I would say is most memorable for this, it comes up in loads of horror stuff, which is appropriate because it's Halloween in a few days, is the Jaws theme. It's strings rather than guitar, but it's that angular minor second. Quite a dark and can be menacing interval. Obviously, for that reason, comes up loads in heavy metal riffs as well. Okay, so that's the minor second and the Jaws theme. Now the major second, to contrast with that, a few examples of this. The first one I would say is Happy Birthday. So just that interval is your major second, or a whole tone. Also Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, so you can see they're kind of jolly songs, it's a major interval. Or Frère Jacques, the French kids song, which, I'm not French, but I heard that a lot in my childhood, so it's sort of implanted in my mind a bit. Obviously, everyone's heard Happy Birthday. Okay, going on to the minor third, which is our next interval up. Some really guitar-centric ones here. I'm sure you've heard of these. The first one would be Smoke on the Water. In this key for me would be... So there's first two, that sad, kind of ominous interval, the minor third, Smoke on the Water. Another example would be Seven Nation Army. So your minor third, and another example would be Beat It. It's down an octave, but that opening interval, it's quite sort of sassy sounding, dark, it's kind of a minor thing. It sounds quite smooth. So there's your three examples for the minor third. Okay, moving on to the major third, which is up semitone from there. Really happy. It's quite simplistic sounding. Examples for the major third, I would say, Oh When the Saints Go Marching In. I mean, I don't think it's a very good song, but it's one I've heard loads as a kid. And it's simplistic enough to demonstrate walking from the root to the major third, then up, fourth, fifth, etc. So that kind of gambit, and you can hear it's jolly, simple sounding. As a contrast to that, which is maybe more memorable for some of you people, is Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden. So we go from saints to Satan, I guess. Fits exactly the same pattern. I don't know if they did this intentionally when they wrote the song, but it kind of references the same idea as When the Saints Go Marching In, Number of the Beast. So that's an easy way to remember that same interval. It's a... It's kind of shape. Sounds weird on an acoustic guitar, but When the Saints, Number of the Beast, kind of the same thing. Weird, huh? So next up is the perfect fourth, and some really classic examples of this, some sort of traditional songs really. First one, Amazing Grace. Perfect fourth doesn't have loads of emotion to it, like the thirds do. But it's a bold, kind of poignant one. So, Amazing Grace, Here Comes the Bride, and Auld Lang Syne, which, you know, hear most years for New Year's, somebody's there singing it, so works its way into your head. So that's a way to remember the perfect fourth. Amazing Grace, Here Comes the Bride, or Auld Lang Syne. Next up after the perfect fourth, we've got very angular, dissonant interval, if you want that kind of mood in your playing, is the tritone, okay, or the flat fifth, or the sharp fourth, you might say. The tritone interval, people used to be scared of it apparently. The song for this one, I would say, is Maria from West Side Story. Now, it's not a song that I knew off the bat. I kind of looked it up and I've heard it a few times. It's quite a cool musical, but the way that Maria is sung is uses that interval, so it gives it a kind of mysterious, ominous kind of thing when the main character is singing her name. Likewise, there's a flip side to this. Another example, that is the melody of Maria. It's also the melody of The Simpsons, as on the opening kind of credits when they say The Simpsons. It's okay. So you're going from the root to the tritone, and then up to the perfect fifth. But it's the root to the tritone that we're talking about. So weird thing is, the brief for writing The Simpsons was the composer was asked for a very, very old-fashioned kind of traditional song. So straight away he took kind of an idea that was used in a really traditional song from West Side Story to kind of capture that sound. And the whole of The Simpsons theme is in a bit of an unusual key as well, using that tritone interval as a prominent thing. Anyway, that's your tritone. Next up, the perfect fifth. It's a bold, sort of really gallant, sort of strident interval. It's used in lots of adventure-y things, lots of courageous stuff. John Williams, who wrote most of the music for, I can't even think of his name, George Lucas films, the guy who did Star Wars and that kind of thing, Superman, Indiana Jones. He often starts his melodies, these kind of heroic ones, with the root and the perfect fifth, kind of courageous interval. Star Wars kind of thing. It jumps up to the fifth, and then it walks down. Another really simple one that everyone knows is Twinkle Twinkle. The string is Twinkle Twinkle. So that fifth. So it's quite a kind of, I don't know, maybe magical, like kind of sounding interval. I think of it as sort of heroic and like kind of amazing kind of thing. All these big themes with heroes, of powers and all this kind of stuff usually goes for that, so it's quite heroic sounding. But Twinkle Twinkle as well, it's, you know, I don't know, the magic of the stars or big stuff like that. Star Wars, Twinkle Twinkle, there's stars in that theme, it's epic, whatever. It's an epic interval. Let's move on. So next one is the minor six. Now this is quite an ominous one, quite a dark one as a minor interval. It doesn't crop up too much, but the musical Sweeney Todd, there's an old version, there's also a newer version, a film version that came out a little while ago. The song Joanna, when he sings I Feel You, it's the opening part, it's the minor six, which is quite a dark one. Also, again with the ominousness, the Beatles song Because, it's the beginning of each line, the because actual word, because the world is whatever, is your minor six. So really strong kind of mood with that one, really quite powerful, but unique, I'd say. Good one to kind of get in there with when you're improvising, if you want to express something, sort of surprise or kind of weird darkness. I don't know. Anyway, to contrast with that, our major six, okay, this is a classic one, is, the way I think of it, the My Way interval, the and now the end is near, is bouncing between the root and the major six all the way. So it's quite a, maybe you could use it to evoke a kind of nostalgic feel. Anyway, it doesn't matter how I describe these particular moods, everyone associates them in a slightly different way, but think yourself how you feel like that interval sounds, and you'll find in different contexts, maybe like Twinkle Twinkle, Star Wars, the kind of, there's something universal about that interval, but also it can be used in lots of different ways as well, from a different angle. That kind of, the key thing about it can be approached from different ways. Anyway, so next up, a minor seventh. Going back to West Side Story, the song Somewhere, the opening lyric is our minor seventh. The intervals are getting wider intervals now as we approach the octave. Next up, the major seven interval, used in loads of jazzy stuff, but the example that I would say, well, the two examples I would say is the opening in the chorus of Take On Me, the actual Take On words, which sounds quite dissonant on its own because those notes are kind of next to each other. obviously up an octave. But that's the opening of Take On Me, Aha, everyone's heard that song maybe too many times. Another one is the phrase I wait, this is the first syllable of waited, I wait, in, I don't know why, the Norah Jones pop song, and she has a kind of jazzy smoothness to some of the stuff she does, and that is invoked by an interval like that. Anyway, moving on, these two will actually help you with the major seventh as well, these two octave examples. Okay, the first one, a traditional one, again a musical, is Somewhere Over the Rainbow with your octave. Jumps from the root straight up to the octave. Whoops, doesn't go there, it goes. Okay, so you've got your root, your octave, and then it does go down to the major sevenths. That'll help associate the major seventh just below the octave. The other one, more familiar to me, is Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. The vocal melody, Robert Plant's kind of wailing at the beginning of this, he jumps an octave, goes down to a major seven and back up. Okay, so Robert Plant, obviously a really good singer with a massive range. He's comfortable jumping an octave. A lot of people aren't so comfortable with that, also Norah Jones as well. But he does it in a kind of Viking call. Again, really courageous kind of jump, a bit like the kind of fifths kind of stuff from all those Hollywood adventure hero films and that kind of stuff. Anyway, that is all of the intervals from both the major scale and the natural minor scale. I've gone through them in sequence. Obviously, your major scale is your root, major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seven, and octave, okay? So it doesn't have your minor second, it doesn't have a few of those in there. What I would do is I would just concentrate on one scale. Don't do them all chromatically in order as I did in order to learn them. Just take the major scale and begin getting used to the intervals of that. A little while down the road, once they're all relatively comfortable, take the intervals of the minor scale. So some of the intervals are in both. Your perfect fifth, for example, it's in both. It's in a lot of scales. And then just spend a little while in kind of minor mode to get used to the intervals of the minor mode, because they all impact on each other, so you want to be in that little kind of melodic family for a little while and train your ears on that, and then the other melodic family, train your ears on that, and then anything goes. Treat them as chromatic intervals, use any of them. And what I would do in order to learn and practice these, because it's quite a chunk here, I know it's sort of only the chromatic notes from the root to an octave, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's 13 different ones. I think I counted that correctly. So they will take a little while, and they all invoke a different thing. It's something you want to really deeply ingrain in, and that's why we're using the memory kind of tool of associating with a song. What I would say is do them really gradually. Begin with your fifth, for example, root fifth. Test yourself on that, I'll show you how to in a moment, a few times, and once you've got that, bring in another interval, say the root and the fourth, and then test yourself those two against each other, make sure you can identify each one, and then obviously reproduce it on the guitar. And then bring in one more, maybe bring in your major second, and then maybe bring in your major third, and each time add another one into the pot and check that you can tell the difference of all of those comfortably. Test yourself a good few times and explore them a good few times. And once you can do that, bring another one in until you've got all the ones on the major scale. So don't rush this stuff, because it's really the building blocks of getting your ears around harmony and around music. And music really is quite a sort of mathematical pattern-based thing. You'll find song after song after song, obviously instrumental stuff as well, pieces of music, classical, whatever, from all genres, uses this stuff. It's really at the core of it. So if you can get in your head the way the intervals sound, so when you hear them in a song you can recognise them, the next stage is actually to be able to reproduce those moods when you want to be able to, and those sounds, okay? And what I would do, here's my approach to actually training your ears to recognise these intervals. Now I'm going old school with this one. There are apps and stuff online, ear trainers and on your phone and stuff like that, but what I would say is have a go at this approach first, because you don't need really anything to do it. You do need a little piece of equipment to record your guitar and also your voice, but since you're watching this, I assume you're watching on a phone or on a computer or something, and all of those things can record. You've got, if you type just online recorder or online voice recorder, you'll have one that just appears in the browser. You can just record and go again, or you can use your telephone, maybe have an old dictaphone laying around, I don't know, tape recorder, anything like that. Anybody still uses tapes? So just something to record is all you need, and what I would do, here's the method, is I would take your first interval, look up how to play it on the guitar, so maybe it's, for example, the major second, and then hit record, play the interval in on guitar, wait a couple of seconds, and then name the interval. So I'd go major second, and so both those things are recorded. Now, don't stop the recording, but keep going. Do a few more intervals in the order you want. Say I'm now gonna learn that against the perfect fifth. I'd go perfect fifth. Say that out loud. One more. Perfect fourth. And there's 3 of them there, but I would keep going for a little while, maybe 10, so that you don't remember the sequence. But you can do the same ones multiple times. Perfect fifth. Again, so record a good few of those, stop the tape recorder, and then listen back. And I didn't point out this step, but write down the ones you're going to do in advance. You can, just to check you're absolutely correct. You can do that. You don't need to, you can just use the tape recorder though. Then rewind. If you're using tape recorder, probably you don't have to rewind. Play the audio file again. Okay. This time you'll hear the interval. Okay. See if you can guess what it is before you tell yourself on the recording. Okay. And even try to play it, so you don't have to say it out loud this time, or recognize that you can just try and replay that interval, so you're getting used to how they are on the guitar as well. And then you'll tell yourself on the recording whether you were correct or not. Okay, so you can do these multiple times. You can save the recording and listen to it again at a later date. It's good to build up a little stock of different ones so that you don't know the sequence of them. Okay, and then just listen to it, see which one you've done, see which ones you've got right. And as you get them right, that's excellent. If there's any that you're not sure about, or you're confused with each other, say it's perfect fifth and you think it's a perfect fourth, then it means next time you do it, and this is the key to the old school way of doing it, that you can just work on that particular interval. You can target the actual sort of bottleneck, the actual thing that you need to learn. You can stay in that kind of learning sweet spot, so you're not spending time learning stuff you know is too easy. So you don't want to ever really do that. And you don't want to be learning stuff that's too hard, like jumping in and doing all of them. You can focus what you're learning on the stuff that you're having trouble with or that you need to learn. Anyway, I'm waffling a bit with that one. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you have any questions about it, please just throw them in the comments below this video. Again, I've been Ian O'Brien. This is a video, a free guitar lesson for guitar learning questions. Each week the question is based on a real question, or the answer to a real question that is given in the Facebook group. So if you watch this video and you get anything out of it at all, you learn anything, you enjoy it, whatever, all I ask you is to invite one of your guitar playing friends on Facebook, or somebody who wants to learn to play guitar, to also join the group Guitar Learning Questions, where I'll answer, and the other members of the group, there's a whole community in there of guitar teachers and guitar learners, we'll answer any questions that you have. And we also do some accountability kind of stuff, where we'll kind of say what we're committing to learn that week, whether it's a particular song, and then at the end of the week we can have a look whether we've achieved that. All this kind of stuff. So it's a guitar learning community called Guitar Learning Questions. Just search for it on Facebook. If you like these videos, you get anything out of them, each week when you see the video, please just invite somebody you think would benefit from the group. And that way we can grow the community into a really strong, really good guitar focused, guitar learning kind of space. Anyway, thanks a lot. Bye.